Sahana bhavatu, Sahanau bhunaktu, Sahaviryam karavavahe, Tejasvinavadhitamastu, ma vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Okay, last week we spoke of certain vibhutis, glories. They are something that you can use throughout the week. For example, asamoha was deliberate thinking. That was one of the glories. If one is using their mind to deliberately think about their life, before saying yes or no to something, the person first thinks without falling for impulsive behavior, which will be the opposite, which will be sammoha. And sammoha means, of course, impulse or without thinking. That means being pressured. So this means if one is ever pressured to make a decision, no matter how important it is, they are out of alignment with Ishwara's laws and orders. The point is, if you say yes or no, and you don't feel congruent with that, then later on is going to lead to guilt, like resentment or regret. And so one has to be very careful not to say yes unless you're absolutely congruent with that decision yourself. Another was satyam. Satyam consisted of two parts, which was satyam vadam, which means we're always speaking in line with whatever we have experienced, or at least as close as possible. Now, how do you do that? Go back to asammoha. What is asammoha? I deliberately take my time before somebody asks me a question. Therefore, it allows the buddhi to think how to construct the sentence or recreate the experience before speaking forward. Also, this trains the mind to be extremely sensitive to the environment. So what is a sensitive person who is able to recognize small nuances of the environment? The one who practices satyam vadam with themselves, with their own thoughts, and even when they get asked, how was your holiday, or how are you feeling? Like, how are you today? Oh, I'm great. Okay, are you really great? And what does that even mean? So that's your opportunity to actually apply a sammoha when asked how you are, and then inquire, how am I really? Now, most of us just sort of impulsively say, how are you? That doesn't matter. At least it's a reminder for you to practice satyam vadam. Okay? So again, satyam vadam is being accurate and deliberate in my speech delivery, in my vak. And the other one was priyam vadam. This was before saying something, make sure also that is it appropriate to say it right now. Sometimes timing is very important. And this is something that you have to evaluate on your own. We also talked about dana, for example, which was giving. And there's an art of giving. We don't just give to everyone. For example, one of the rules was only give according to your capacity, because of course it's going to lead to resentment if I give more than I can give. So this means that one should not be pressured before giving, or they should not try to impress another as to how much they can give. And the other rule was never give if the recipient is not worthy. So, for example, we're not going to give self-knowledge to an unworthy student. Now, when I say unworthy, I mean unqualified. For example, if you tell that there is no essential difference between Ishwara and Jiva to a Ekarupa Bhakta, they're going to say that that's blasphemy. How dare you call yourself Ishwara? But of course, we're not saying that. Or sometimes if we give knowledge prematurely to someone, then they're going to use that to maybe sell it, right, or market it, or sort of try to incorporate it into their practice. It actually does happen. And then what happens? It actually spoils the tradition. So this means one has to be very careful how they deliver, and is the person worthy of receiving? Otherwise, they can destroy and cause damage down the road. Another example is if the child is spoiled And if the mother gives wants the ice cream, if the mother gives the ice cream to the child, what's the mother saying? That a spoiled behavior is worthy of being rewarded. So in other words, in this case, the recipient is not worthy of receiving the ice cream because I'm causing damage. And also contentment is another important one, which means a sense of fulfillment. There is two kinds of fulfillment or contentment, and that is, one of them is tamasic contentment, right? Lazy. In other words, I don't want to do anything and I feel good in that sort of laziness. And then the person justifies, well, I'm happy, I'm content. But the fact is they're just lazy, they're just sleeping and not doing much. They're just repeating the routine, and that feels extremely comfortable. So that's not the contentment we're talking about. We're talking about contentment in which you still gladly do duties. Okay? That's true contentment. So this means what? All decisions should arise out of contentment. If a decision to do something arises out of a lack of contentment, then what's going to happen? It's not going to be aligned with the environment. So whenever a decision arises out of one's contentment, that is an accurate decision, as aligned as you can possibly get according to the whole environment. This means there's no way a person can make a mistake if they make a decision out of their own already existing contentment. Whereas making a decision when a person is not happy, what does that mean? This means I'm not taking care of the environment, I'm taking care of one single individual at the expense of something else in the environment. So that's going to cause disharmony later on, pain.
Could you also say not to hold expectations about what would happen once you've actually done the giving? Or
yeah, because that's karma yoga. Yeah. In other words, one of the qualities was also equanimous mind towards either pleasant or unpleasant situations. Okay? So this means one needs to let go of any expectations, because remember, this place called Earth, this is not our home, by the way. This is just like a dream where the person gets their job done. And what job is that? They do their duties, right? And you leave, right? So if we get attached, then we try to expect situations. And that ironically does not cause one to be in alignment with the environment. Okay, so this means it's counterintuitive. Sometimes we think by being attached, I'm going to do more. But what does attachment create? Emotion. And when emotion is high, what is low? Intellect. Therefore, vairagyam, dispassion, is crucial in the performance of one's actions.
Andre, at what point do you regard all this as sadhana? So is all the sadhana, or is sadhana like specific?
Sadhana is a lifetime of practice in line with the vibhutis we have spoken. So at work you practice satyam vadam, priyam vadam. At family with people satyam vadam, priyam vadam, asam mohaha. And you always make your decisions out of contentment. Okay? So it's a consistent moment-to-moment attempt. That's the lifetime sadhana. Yeah. And that causes the person to fall into an autopilot, so the person's automatically flowing by, because nobody wants to do this forever deliberately. It's too much effort. So how do you go into autopilot? By first devoting deliberate actions which cause satyam vadam, priyam vadam, etc. And then slowly through time you are on autopilot. You don't even then talk about it. It just flows naturally. That's the whole point, to be on autopilot. Now, verse 4 to 7 talks about Ishwara Swarupa, which is of two natures, or which has two causes, Nimitta Karanam and Upadana Karanam, the intelligent cause and the material cause. This means when the one who understands this should have a certain attitudinal change reflected in the light of this knowledge. Now, what do we mean by this? The bhakta who understands these two causes is the entire world of. It means I'm only ever witnessing the manifestation of Lord. That's it. There's no something other than that. So this means if one wants to experience Lord, this is what we often say, I want to experience God, in some kind of form. That is actually a wrong conclusion, because what is everything in this world? Nimitta karanam, upadana karanam. In other words, one is never away from, and one needs not apply any effort to have Ishwara darshanam. Darshanam means vision, the vision of Lord. For example, if you're holding different ornaments, if you're holding a bangle or a necklace, that both the bangle and the necklace, they're only ever pervaded by the gold. So this means I don't need to look for the gold in the necklace, even though I'm holding the bangle, because both of them are only gold. So this means the cause, the effect, that is the ornament, is always the cause, because the effect and the cause are never apart. So this means I need not go anywhere to some special pilgrimage or special place to have the vision of Lord, because everything is the Lord already. Okay? Just like with the wood, all furniture, no matter what shape, what size, what value it is, all of it is manifested out of the one same wood. So this means if we keep our focus on the that out of which it arises, is sustained by and dissolves into, then there's no need to fight for objects or to try to gain experiences like samadhi or, savikalpa or nirvikalpa, because that too is nimitta karanam and upadana karanam. Okay, you can never get out of one. So again, these two words are the effect, karyam, is never separate from karana, the cause. Okay? Wherever there is effect, there is simultaneously a cause. Not somewhere else, but in the very effect, that's exactly where the cause is. That's a crucial understanding. So what about temples and sanctuaries and churches then? Okay? They serve their place for stage one, ekarupa darshana upasaka. However, that after some time becomes unnecessary. I'm not saying it is now to be discarded. However, temples and churches and sanctuaries and pilgrimages do serve a certain function for those who are generally, not all of them, scripturally illiterate. So the one who does not know that all that is here is one manifestation of Ishwara, then what is their natural conclusion? Ishwara is found where? In the temple. Therefore, I attend the temple or the church every single week. I'm not saying now it's, putting it down or up. It just has a certain function. You can still go to a temple and enjoy for the sake of reverence, no problem there. So this vision that I'm talking about, that all that is here is one manifestation, is the manifestation of Ishwara, is called a Virat Bhakta. What is Virat? The total body, the total physical Ishwara's body. That means everything. Okay, that's a new word that I'm bringing, Virat. So Virat is the same as Vishwarupa Bhakta. Vishwarupa is many forms. And what is many forms? Well, it's part of the one total. And what is the one total? Virat. That means Virat equals Ishwara's total physical body. That means the entire universe. Okay, now how does this Virat Bhakta experience life? Okay, because now you know what a Virat Bhakta is. The one who has Vishwarupa Darshanam. That means the vision of all. So what do they understand? They understand that all experiences that you have are of the world, of the Jagat. They're not separate from the world. Because if you think about it, even a nice pleasant thought contains what? An object which is of something of the world. Even an emotion has arisen because of something, some engagement with the Jagat. So all experiences that we have from the moment we are as a person born to the moment this body dies, all of the experiences come from the Jagat. Now the Jagat is what? Time, space, and all objects in time and space. I need specifics because I've said what this means before. But what was the question? How does the Virat Bhakta experience this world? Since the Jagat is not away from Ishwara, then all that is here is only Ishwara. So what does this mean? There's no more concern about what quality of experiences I should receive, as you said, Martin. So the important part is, how do they live? Without resistance to life. Now you're going to say, what does without resistance mean? It means that the present is choiceless. What do you mean by present is choiceless? Okay. So what was the original question? How does a Virat Bhakta live? The answer was without resistance to life. You can also put / surrendering to God. But we'll go back to the first statement. What does without resistance mean? Suppose that we'll put here, this is past, and this is present, and this is future. Okay, we'll put future. Now, we're always in the past, yeah? No, we're always in the? Goody. Okay, we'll put here moment. So suppose this event has occurred right now. Why has it occurred? Because of something that I've done in the past. Okay, so this is called a law of cause and effect. Okay, karma. This means something I've done in the past. Because of that, now I am either suffering or enjoying the results in the present. Okay, clear? So what was the question? How does a Virat Bhakta live? Without resistance to life. And then I said, they understand that the present is choiceless. Okay, now what do you mean? Because it brings up the question of free will. Can I do anything about the fact that this moment has arisen? Why not? Because of something I've done in the past. Okay? So this means I've done A in the past, and what do I get? I get A correlative result in the present. So this means every moment that we have in the present is a result of something in the past. So this means right now, whatever that time or day is, I can't do anything about what is happening right now. Why? Because of the decisions I've made in the past. So then where does our decisions lie? Because we do have choice, we do have free will. Yeah, ironically, it lies in the now. Okay? But we have to know what kind of now are you talking about? Because we first established it is not in the now of the result that has arisen from the past. But now I said we do have free will in the present. So where is our free will here then? How to navigate, how to manage, how to look at this, how to interpret this moment. Okay, this is why it's very confusing when people say, you know, what do you mean you don't have free will? And as someone says you do have free will. This is a constant battle that has been going on for decades. It's very easy to understand. You don't have free will in the fact that right now you're here in the class, you're not somewhere else. So you can't now be somewhere else because you're not somewhere else, you're here. But the fact that you're here, you can now still make a decision as to how to interpret the fact that you're here. Okay, so we don't have free will and we do have free will.
So free will is the result of the intellect.
Free will is the result of viveka, applying your discernment. How should I navigate the situation that's occurring right now? Okay, so yes, we do have choice right now based on what has arisen from the past. Okay, that's clear. So that's how a Virat Bhakta lives. What was the answer? Is they accept, I can't do anything about this because this is only a result of something that happened in the past. I may not remember it, it doesn't matter, but it is still right now. So how do they deal with this? Is this separate from nimitta karanam and upadana karanam? No. So this means they attend to this. How? It's called swadharma. To not attend to this is called not attending to your swadharma. Okay? So to attend to this is how to move forward and have a successful life. Having a prasada buddhi. What is prasada buddhi? This means having a buddhi that looks at every present event as an opportunity to grow. What can I learn from this? It has come, it may not be pleasant, or sometimes it is pleasant, right? It's always a mixture. But what can I use out of this to grow as a further human being? So this is a prasada buddhi. Always looking for opportunities how to grow instead of complaining. That's the other opposite of prasada buddhi. Okay, this is called being objective. It has come, let's deal with it. And how else does this Virat Bhakta live? They're generally disinterested in mundane things in life. This is a common experience. After some time in Vedanta, you'll start to probably go, well, I'm not interested in the world that much anymore. I'm probably not even hanging around some people that I used to. Conversations about sports and gossip and who's visiting who. All of this thing starts to drop away. The reason is like this. Imagine you're looking at a panoramic scene and it's beautiful. It's a rainbow and it's a horizon in the distance. And you're enjoying that scene, right? You're revering what is. You're revering the moment. And someone comes up to you and they go, hey, look, what a beautiful scene. You're like, why are you telling me that? I'm already experiencing this beauty. In fact, the fact that you told me that it's beautiful, you've actually now taken away my enjoyment from what is right now. So in the same way, a Virat Bhakta, having already been established, their sight is already on the whole as Ishwara. Now, why do you need to then tell me about these things if I'm already revering in the total, if I'm already appreciating Ishwara as the whole? So this means that they will only want to talk about higher things now. That's the other side to it, because you always want to talk about something. So your interest goes from lower things of life to something that's much higher, something much more deeper, existential. So if this is the case, then that's normal. That's an experience for everyone. Etam vibhutim yogam cha mammayo veti tatvataha so vikampena yogena yujyate natra samshayaha.
The one who knows in reality this glory of mine and my connection with that, he is endowed with unshaken vision. There is no doubt about this.
Verse 6 and 4, 5, and 6, which we've done, has concluded about the glories both of the inner and the outer. Because verse 6 was about creation, and verse 4 and 5 was about some of our glories that we have in the mind. Okay? And we said that Ishwara is the ultimate cause of both the inner and the outer world. We have concluded that. Now, how is Ishwara the cause when the real Ishwara is Nirgunam? So, all that we see is change. Saguna Savikara. Savikalpa. And the real Ishwara is Nirguna, Nirvikara, Nirvikalpa, without attributes, without movement. And yet we see movement all around us. So the question is now, how is then Ishwara the cause if Ishwara is without attributes? So we're going to do a order and talk about Maya. This is also going to answer a question that I received last week. How does Ishwara and Brahman fit into this? So we're going to talk about Brahman also. All right? So Ishwara has a power, and this power can manifest a world. And this power in this verse is called yoga. In other words, this power is called Maya. If you write Maya, put 2 long A's, please. Because if you don't put 2 long A's, what does this mean? Camel or a horse. Okay, Ishwara doesn't have a power called a horse. And if you put Maya, long A at the end, then that's with me. So that's totally different meanings. Okay, so this power is called yoga. In other words, Maya Shakti. And what is Maya? Maya is all knowledge, all power, in potential, unmanifest. Okay, it is in potential, therefore it is unmanifest, because there's nothing to, it's like a seed. It's in potential and it is unmanifest. You can't say tree, because the tree hasn't come yet. In other words, it is hidden apara prakriti. Okay? There's nothing to say about anything. There's no names and forms, because the tree hasn't come yet. The universe hasn't come yet. So this means Maya is an invisible potential in Ishwara, just like butter is an invisible potential in milk. Okay? So just because I can't see the butter doesn't mean it's not there. However, with a certain extraction process of this milk, I can get butter, name and form, out of its cause being the milk. Now, when there is butter, can I see the milk? No. In fact, the butter looks different color, it's hard, has no resemblance to the milk. So, even though I cannot see the original cause in this butter, it doesn't mean it doesn't have a cause. So this means I can still infer, I can say, even though I can't see a cause, it must have a cause. Why? Because there is not a single thing in this universe that you can find that doesn't have a cause. So this means, in the same way, the Jagat that we experience, which is time, space, and objects, also has a cause. Okay, the Jagat is the effect, like the butter. And it also has a cause called Ishwara. However, can we see Ishwara? No. If someone said yes, what would be the fallacy with that logic? If you said, I can't see Ishwara.
Unless you see Ishvara in the material.
No, I can see
objects.
Ishvara. I can see Ishvara.
No.
I can see Ishvara's manifestation, everything.
Okay, you need to use specific language. You can see Ishwara's manifestation, but you cannot see Ishwara. So this means, even though this Jagat, or in this Jagat, I cannot see Ishwara anywhere, I can still infer that there must be a cause of this world. How so? Because this world is nothing but an beautifully intricate, connected world of laws and orders working in perfect, synchronous, intelligent harmony non-stop. Everything that we know has a purpose, has a function. There is nothing that is out of place in this universe. For example, you say, well, the sun is independent, it doesn't need anything. Well, the sun is nothing but hydrogen and helium. And the sun serves a purpose. It gives life to Earth. Okay, so whatever exists, you don't see any animal or insect that is just there independently sort of cruising on Earth doing its own thing. It has some other purpose to some other creature or some plant, like bees, and pollination. And not only do they get food for themselves, but they also serve human beings. And they also pollinate other plants, which genuinely rely on bee pollination for them to fructify their fruits. So this means that nothing in this universe is out of place. It has some connection, whether our human minds understands it or not. So that is yoga. Now, Vibhuti. What's the title of this chapter? Vibhuti Yoga. I've just answered what the word yoga means in the context of chapter 10. Now, what does the word Vibhuti mean? When Ishwara is wielding his unmanifest power called Maya, then we have a product, we have a result. And that result is called Vibhuti. That result is called Jagat. But in this case, according to the verse, Vibhuti. So Vibhuti just means what? Infinite glories, which are just the world. Right? So why don't you just say the world? Well, because it is the world, but if you think about the beautiful power, the beautiful harmony, it is nothing but glories everywhere. Okay? So it's another way to describe it. So then Krishna says, Vibhutim yogam cha mama. So this means, cha, that means and. So that means I am both the yoga and Vibhuti of this creation. So what is, now you can put two comparisons. You can put yoga / Maya, cause. It is nirvikalpa. That means it is without change. And it is avyaktaha. It is not perceivable to the senses because it is potential. You can't say potential has gunas because it is potential. You can't say that potential has changes because nothing has come yet. Is that clear? Okay. Now, Vibhuti, we can compare that to Jagat. So Vibhuti / Jagat is effect, is savikalpa, that means it is change, it is modifiable, and it is vyaktaha, it is perceivable. Now, saha yogena yujyate. One who understands that this world is God's form will be taken to stage 3. See how there's a nice order? Not the one who goes to a satsang and hears the highest teaching without any qualifications, but the one who first goes to stage 2 and sees how all that is here is nimitta karanam, upadana karanam. After going through that process, then they're qualified to go to stage 3. This is why spirituality for some people can go for 20 plus years listening to Advaita Vedanta, and yet you ask him, you talk about, karma yoga, what's that? I don't need that. No, you need that. You need to see Lord everywhere first. So there's no cheating here. Why? Because it's not our system. We haven't designed the system. Okay, and this person who is thus taken to stage 3, which means Nirguna Ishvara Jnanam, which leads to Nirguna Ishvara, what will happen? They will get avikampena, the first word, which means that they will have strong conviction or firm knowledge. In other words, nishta jnanam. Meaning, what kind of firm knowledge? That the formless Nirguna Ishvara is the final reality. Not saguna, but nirguna. Now, from stage 3, they can go back to stage 2 and stage 1 and enjoy all they want. That's the benefit of stage 3. It doesn't now mean the person is going to be home all day meditating in some kind of a different world. No. In fact, Shankara was one of the greatest bhaktas, had so many, revering so many gurus and revering God in so many forms. You can't now say, well, this person obviously doesn't know who he is because he's, putting reality to. No, he doesn't, because everything is one. Therefore, or nothing is two here. Now, verse 8 is going to talk about what kind of clarity we gain through practicing Vishvarupa Bhakti. And another name for Vishvarupa is Aneka Rupa. Remember Aneka Rupa? Not one form, therefore it is all forms. Aham sarvasya prabhavaha matak sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. Contributor, please.
I am the creator of everything, and because of me, everything is sustained. Thus knowing, the wise men endowed with vision gain me.
What is the benefit of the one who has this vision? The benefit is raga dvesha is weakened. This is what produces ongoing suffering, samsara. This is what gives reality to samsara. Constant slave to acting based on the basis of my attractions and repulsions. If I am attracted to something, I go, I get it. If I don't like something, then I don't want it. This also happens in knowledge. We don't like certain kind of knowledge. In fact, if someone's grown up in India, and what I often hear is, say, oh, I've heard this Advaita Vedanta, this is all old stuff. And so they just don't listen to it. In other words, they miss out on the opportunity because of their dvesha, of their repulsions. Yeah, so this is how one's raga dvesha can sabotage one's happiness, because they're a slave and making decisions according to their likes and dislikes. Now, if one sees Lord as everything, then is there any opportunity for raga dvesha? No. Why? Because before, raga dvesha was creating higher and lower value to different things. But now, having understood that everything is of the one same cause, then where is there space for likes and dislikes? We're not saying now the person is going to be totally free of them, because let's face it, they're very strong. In fact, most of them will probably, for us, go to their last days. but at least they will not have so much pulling power. So this is now the person is relieved a lot because of their vision is that this is actually Lord. So what's the point of trying to grab this or trying to own this? In fact, it's quite selfish and arrogant to try to own something that is not mine, right? Because I didn't create it.
So this is the process of renunciation going on.
Renunciation, inner renunciation is vairagyam, dispassion. How? Because I'm using my viveka again and asking, asam moha, deliberate thinking, what is this really that I'm being attached to? Right? And what's the essence? So what? And then what? Okay. And what does this do? Oh, instant stress reduction. Okay, before raga dvesha was producing stress. In fact, where does stress come from? From I have to do something. If I don't, then I'm going to lose out. Or something has to happen according to my raga, and if it doesn't, then I will experience dvesha. I will experience pain. So what does this do? Stress. In other words, it reduces the intellectual viveka power capacity. Thus the person cannot think so clearly anymore. So that's the benefit of this vision. It's not just some small statement, it's huge. Right? In other words, I see things objectively. Aham sarvasya prabhavaha. So I am the cause of everything, including your pain and pleasure, birth and death, likes and dislikes, health and disease. Okay, I am the cause of, because of me, these things exist. Now, when Krishna says the word aham, the first word, this refers to Krishna, who is also called Vasudeva. I haven't used this word before. Now, Vasudeva means that one in which everything has its existence. Just like all of the furniture has its existence in the wood. All of the ornaments have their existence in the gold. In the same way, everything in this world has its existence in Vasudeva. That one in which everything has its being. That's better to say. So Vasudeva represents Ishwara. Okay, and this Ishwara is what? Self-evident consciousness. Now, what did I say? That in which all things have their being. And what is that? Vasudeva. What is Vasudeva? Ishwara. What is Ishwara? Self-evident consciousness. Now, what does this mean? Whatever has its being in this self-evident consciousness, it becomes self-evident. Is that your experience? Whatever you see, whatever you experience is self-evident. To whom? To you. So this means, why is that? Because you are consciousness. That's the point. So again, everything has its being in Ishwara. Ishwara is consciousness. So whatever is in consciousness becomes self-evident to consciousness. But when I say consciousness, am I talking about some consciousness over there? No. What consciousness am I talking about? The very consciousness because of which you're conscious of even this moment. So even this moment has its being in what? In you. That's why you're conscious of this moment. Mattaha sarvam pravartate. For this reason, because of me, Bhagavan, Vasudeva, everything is sustained. So unlike a human being who creates and then forgets, we create a piece of music or some art, some computer software or some poem or some song, and then we sort of, we create a degree, a master's degree. We create 10,000 hours of yoga training. Or we create big muscles, we create fame, and then what happens? We put it away, right? 5 years, you don't even recall it anymore. So unlike human beings who create and then forget, Ishvara cannot forget. Why? Because all creation is apara prakriti. And what is apara prakriti? Lower nature of Ishvara. In other words, everything belongs to Ishvara. How can that one to whom everything belongs forget if it has nowhere else to go other than into that one out of which it came out of in the first place? Also, this means that everything in this universe is reused. This means the water you're drinking and going, how delicious, is the same water that dinosaurs drank at some point. And the air we're breathing is also recycled. So there's no such thing as apara prakriti going out of existence. It simply goes through a process of purification through the course of time, and we reuse it. Okay? So nothing here is forgotten. Iti matva. Hence, knowing this Jagat is of me, of Vasudeva, what happens? This wise person, for that reason, recognizes, knows, and apprehends me. Apprehends the ultimate truth, which is Ishvara. Okay, now what does this person apprehend exactly? They do apprehend the Ishvara, but that's a vague statement. What exactly are they firmly apprehending? Well, just like all ornaments have their being in the gold, in the same way, the world, which they are not apart from, has its being in Ishvara. In other words, what do they apprehend? I am never away from the truth. Now, what is the truth of Ishvara? I said, what is Ishvara? Consciousness. What is consciousness? Brahman. We will speak about Brahman in verse 9. Now, is there any difference between that consciousness over there, wherever that is, and this consciousness over here? Can you even make that statement? No. So this means Ishvara requires consciousness to create the universe. You can't create a tree unless there is consciousness of that all knowledge, sarvajnanam, sarvam shakti. Consciousness needs to be there in order for this knowledge and power to take place. In the same way, a human being, a jiva, also needs consciousness to listen, to write, to think, and to create. So what's the one common essential sameness between microcosmic the jiva and the macrocosmic Ishvara? Consciousness. Okay. Where is the only difference between jiva and Ishvara? The one major difference. A jiva is limited knowledge, limited power. Ishvara is all knowledge, all power. Ishvara knows Spanish, French, Portuguese, Brazilian. We only know one language, right? In fact, all of the books that we have written is from what? From observing the environment and then writing books about it. In other words, all the knowledge that we have comes from what is already provided in the environment. Mam bhajante. Because of this very understanding that the Jagat ultimately resolves into Ishvara, they gain me, they become one with me. Become one with me. Not that they were not before, but now they understand there's no difference. Now, why do they become or gain me? Because there is no difference between samashti, samashti means what? Macrocosmic, and vyashti, that means the microcosmic. So this means both samashti and vyashti are mithya only. And where does mithya resolve into? Satyam. We will talk about mithya and satyam because it's crucial to understand these two words. We will revise them. Think about it this way, actually. Imagine your body is a total, and your body is called satyam. Now, is your finger apart from your body? So from the aspect of the finger, let's suppose you give two eyes on a finger, and a mouth, and a brain, then the finger can only know about what? itself. It doesn't know about the middle finger or the pinky or the head or the hair or the eyes. But from the so Vyashti only knows about its own limited form. Whereas the one who, because of which all of these individual parts are working together, from my angle, is there such thing as finger is a part? No. So this means from the Vyashti standpoint, there is individuality. But from the Samashti, from the total standpoint, it is pretty clear that it is only because of me that all of these individual parts are working together in perfect harmony. So what is Samashti? Ishwara. What is Vyashti? Individual Jagat. Okay, different jivas. The point is they're all part of the one whole. What does this translate to in terms of behavior? What happened before? This pinky thought I was a part. Okay, this is called Eka Rupa Bhakta. Now, it's not a pinky, this is the index finger. Now, the index finger, having ascertained what it says here, the wise men are endowed with this vision, they gain me. What does this mean? Comparing this to example. Now, suppose there's a wise, now this is a wise person now. They understand, even though the appearance of me seems limited and small, I'm actually not apart from the one total. So this means that the behavior changes, and this is a perfect karma yogi. So this means before I was only working for myself because only I was important. But now I understand that even my own boss or whoever is in my family, in my life, they're also not away from me. So now the employer or the employee is no longer doing for the sake of their own self. They're now working for the employer. How and why? Because the employer is also part of the total. So it totally transforms the way one interacts with this world, right? This is called karma yoga. I understand that I'm only ever working, I'm only an employee as a jiva for the one whole. I'm never working for myself, I'm working for the whole. So selfishness reduces, it goes away. And again, this brings prasada buddhi. In other words, for this reason, I look at everything as divinity. I look at everything as an expression of divinity, an opportunity to grow. Whereas before, it was about gaining more for myself. But the truth is, I was never apart from the one total. Madchitta madgata pranaha bodhayantah parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti charamanti cha.
Fixing the mind and senses on me, mutually sharing the knowledge about me and speaking of me, they are always contented and delighted.
In other words, the bhakta that we're speaking of know and abide in the essence of the teaching. And we will now give you the essence of the entire Vedanta. So verse 9 is going to speak about a jnani. Okay, what is the vision, what is the understanding of a liberated person who has gone through Advaita Vedanta and solidly and firmly comprehended this knowledge? What do they understand? It's also going to talk about a jijnatsu. What is a jijnatsu? The one who is yet to understand, the one who is yet to produce paroksha jnanam into aparoksha jnanam. In other words, to convert indirect knowledge to direct knowledge. So that's a jijnatsu. I will tell you when we are speaking about a jijnatsu, but from now I'm going to start everything is about a Jeeva muktaha, a jnani. Okay? So a Jeeva muktaha abides in the essence of the teaching. So your question will be now, what is the essence of the teaching? So we'll give you an order. Not that there is an order to creation, but for the sake of mind understanding, we'll give a hierarchy. You can put number. Number one, Brahman is the highest reality, the ultimate cause. What does Brahman mean? Awareness. So this means there is no higher reality than Brahman. You can't say there is something beyond awareness, or there's something other than consciousness, because to say that, you had to be conscious to say that. So you haven't really gotten out of consciousness. So we're doing an order. Number 2. Is number 1 clear? Okay. Brahman has the capacity to manifest the Jagat. This capacity is called Maya. Point 3. From the standpoint of the manifest Jagat, Brahman is now referred to as Ishwara. Okay, so number 1, Brahman is the ultimate reality. Brahman has the capacity to manifest a Jagat, a world, and this capacity is called Maya. When this capacity is activated, a world is produced. Now, what is inside the world? People were included. Now, when these people talk about the ultimate cause, what do they call this ultimate cause? Ishwara. Okay, now do you see where the word Brahman and Ishwara come? So when we speak about Ishwara, what are we talking about? Brahman and Maya activated. Okay?
And it becomes the potential.
Well, it's no longer potential now. It is manifesting.
But isn't the potential even a manifestation? The fact that
it's constantly manifesting. Okay.
I got a question here.
Yeah.
You said when Maya,
Yeah, the word when is number 1 is a danger
when
point.
Maya is exerted,
Exerted.
as in activated,
Yeah.
that's when you get the Jagat.
Yeah.
So is there a word or a phrase or a concept of when that exertion happens and what causes the exertion?
The karma of the total comes to a certain point. In fact, in Panchadashi we spoke about when the 3 gunas in Maya become unstable, then they project this world that we call Jagat through Vikshepa and Avarana Shakti. Okay, so just going back, the simple answer is this. When the karma comes to a certain point, then the world is produced. Just like when... Do you ever wake up and then suddenly your back is sore for no reason? Right? Like, where did that come from? I was healthy yesterday for 5 years and suddenly back comes. Oh, where is that? Karma. In other words, it has arisen owing to many variables that we cannot tell. So what is karma according to what? Karma according to every single jiva in the universe.
So is the universe created on a moment-to-moment basis? Or are we talking about a primordial creation? So in other words, on the now, is this the universe being created now? Or is it the universe was created and we're just playing it through?
No, it's being created now. Yeah, just like a dream is created now. On the basis of what? On the basis of the karma of the individual. Okay.
Because we still have this image of the Big Bang and the universe start and that was it. And it's hard to reconcile that sort of...
Yeah, you also
but I get it. Yeah.
You also have to ask, if the Big Bang, we don't dispute that. It's a good model. But obviously the Big Bang is also that which gives birth to time and space. So that has to resolve into something. So obviously it has a cause. And what's the cause? Maya. Point 4. So far, we can say that Ishwara is thus the cause of the Jagat. Which means that every effect, including your body-mind, is not separate, not different from the cause. Okay. So this means nothing here is away from the truth. What was the statement? The effect, Jagat, is never separate from the cause being Ishwara. So now we have to investigate these 2 words. What is this cause and effect? And I will bring the 2 terms called Satya and Mithya. Mithya has a long A at the end. We'll start with Satyam. What is Satyam?
Okay.
Satyam is cause. In other words, an independently existing reality, an independently existing principle. It doesn't depend on anything else for its existence. And mithya is
Changing.
effect. It has to be on the other choice. What is mithya? Dependent reality on the independently existing principle. So, mithya depends on satyam. For example, who wants to have their shirt torn apart? Not physically, but through analysis. We'll take Adrian's shirt. Okay. It doesn't matter, just use your own shirt. So Adrian's shirt is, listen to the order. So we're going to use the shirt and then we're going to arrive to Brahman. So Adrian's shirt is mithya. Why is it mithya? Because it depends upon the cotton out of which it is made of. So from the standpoint of the cotton, cotton becomes satyam, and everything that is made out of that cotton, including that shirt, including the curtain, the tablecloth, whatever you can make out of the cotton, is what? Mithya. So if you stop at cotton, it is the ultimate truth. But you can go one step further. You can say, well, even that cotton is now mithya because it depends on the thread. Okay? So now the thread is satyam, and the cotton and the shirt is mithya. But now you can go even one step further. You can say, well, actually, even that thread is also mithya because it depends on the fibers out of which it needs for its existence. So therefore, the fibers is satyam, and the thread is mithya, the cotton is mithya, the shirt is mithya, the entire world is mithya except the fibers. But you can go one step further. You can say, well, actually, those fibers are nothing but, okay, so fibers is also mithya because it depends on the particles from which it is composed of. You can take the periodic table of elements if you want, or you take the 5 elements, the Pancha Mahabhuta. So in other words, the particles are now satyam, and the fibers is mithya. Now not all of them, but some sciences, some science fields will stop at particles. Okay, that's their final, it's called particle physics, for example, or material science. So they say everything's made out of particles and that's all there is to this reality. Okay, so for them, particles like subatomic particles, God particle, boson, quark is the highest reality of this universe. However, we can go one step further. We can say, well, actually, those particles depend on something else. Thus, the particles become mithya because they depend on thought. Particle is nothing but a thought concept of the particle. Unless I think about the particle, there is no particle. In other words, we need a mind to think about that which it gives reality to. It is only the thoughts which give reality to all names and forms. In fact, some physics is going to stop here because they say what? This entire universe is nothing but thoughts. This is also New Age spirituality. So we say, okay, that's fine. There is a truth to that from the aspect of thought. Thus, thought at this level becomes satyam, and particles, thread, fiber, cotton, everything else in the universe is mithya. However, we can go one step further. Thought is mithya because it depends on what? What does thought depend on? The very consciousness, the very awareness of that thought. In other words, now consciousness becomes what? Satyam, and everything else before becomes mithya. Now we have to ask, can you break down consciousness even further? Can we split consciousness and say there's satya, something else, and consciousness is mithya? Why not?
Because consciousness is Brahman.
Well, consciousness
We
is
can't
just
make
pure
two of
aware.
them.
Okay, but suppose you tell consciousness is Brahman to someone, they go, okay, what is Brahman now? So you need to use logic.
Pure awareness.
Okay, if you break down consciousness even further, what's the logical problem with this?
You're using consciousness to break it down
Because
further.
because it becomes a matter, it becomes a thing, and it isn't.
First logical fallacy. If you break down consciousness, then the question is then who is there to witness the breaking down of consciousness? Who's left to be conscious of the fact that consciousness has been broken down? And the second logical fallacy is now there is what? Space. So I introduce space problem. So this means what? Consciousness is on one side in one corner and on the other corner and some consciousness on the wall over there. So now I have to ask then what accommodates these parts of consciousness that are all over the place? So this now goes into an ad infinitum, into now you have to analyze what's the space now. So this means that I cannot break something down unless I remain the whole. Only the whole can recognize breaking things down. Thus, to say I broke down consciousness is a self-contradicting statement. Because obviously I said I've successfully broken down consciousness. But I can only say that if I remain whole, complete, untouched, and by that virtue I can say I've broken down consciousness. But obviously I haven't done it. What have I broken down? Thought of having broken down consciousness. So now we're actually regressed one step back. We went into what? Thoughts. So therefore, nothing can go beyond consciousness. Therefore, what is the highest satyam? What is the highest truth in the universe? Awareness. What is awareness? Brahman. The bhakta, having understood this, is one with Ishwara. Now you're going to say how? Step one. Ishwara is both the maker and the intelligent cause of the world. In other words, the effect is never separate from him, from Ishwara. And the second is, if Ishwara is everything, including your very body and mind, then you're not separate from Ishwara, because your body mind is also nimitta karanam upadana karanam. So there's no question of awareness. There's no question of distance here. There's no question of something being more divine and over here in my little place I am not so divine. There's no question. This should fall away because of this understanding. Thus, the conclusion is, no matter how you look at yourself, from whichever angle, you're never apart from Parameshwara. Parameshwara is a new name for Ishwara, means the Supreme Lord. Even if you look at yourself as a body-mind, you're still not away from Parameshwara. No matter how you approach it, whether I understand this or not, even understanding is not separate from Parameshwara. Even if I totally don't know what any of this means, that is also what? The mind. Is the mind away from Parameshwara? No. Therefore, you are whole, complete already right now. In fact, we have Gita 2:53, Shruti vipratipanate yadastasati nischala samadha vachala buddhistada yogam avyapsyasi. In other words, the buddhi, which is never confounded by the Shruti, by the complexity of what the Shruti is saying, and thus that person who is not confounded remains in samadhi, that one is established in yoga. In other words, even if you come to a point where you don't understand any of this, and you go, what is this saying? What are these words? This is too much for me. And still, you're not confounded. It doesn't move you. It doesn't move you out of your truth, out of who you know yourself to be. Then you are established in yoga. You're established in the truth. Okay, in other words, that statement perfectly complements this logic of these two steps, which means that even if I understand this or I don't understand it, the fact is it is all part of the one same whole. Therefore, the person remains established in samadhi. 253 samadhi means just in this knowledge. Machitaha, those minds which are established in me, important, through their knowledge, are not separate from me. Okay, not through emotions, because emotions are going to come and go. So how is one established in Ishvara? Through knowledge. Your question will now be, what kind of knowledge is one established in? Where is understanding or non-understanding happening? Where does it occur? In the Antahkarana. Antahkarana is the subtle body. Subtle body, in short, is your mind. So all understandings or non-understandings happen in the mind. Point 2, is the mind separate from nimitta karanam, upadana karanam? No. And what is nimitta and upadana karanam? Ishvara. What is Ishvara? Consciousness. And who's conscious of understanding and non-understanding? Someone else or you? Therefore, you are free of understanding and non-understanding. In fact, the ultimate understanding is understanding that whether I understand or don't understand, it doesn't really matter. Because where does all understanding happen? In the mind. And what is the mind? Anatma, not self. And who am I? Atma, the self, the one in whose presence the understanding and non-understanding arises, is sustained by, and dissolves into. Who is the one that sustains that understanding? You are. Is someone else doing it for you? No. It is only because of your awareness that this understanding gets the glory, its vibhuti that it is. The moment you shift your awareness for something else, the glory is gone. So this glory is also thus mithya, because it depends on satyam. And what is satyam? The ultimate satyam? Consciousness, called Brahman. And because of this understanding, again, they abide in me as me. In other words, there is no person that is doing the abiding separate from the abided. They are one. That's why I said abiding in me as me. So there's no question of two-ness here. Mad gata pranaha. So a jnani's living is resolved in me. Here the word prana represents your sense organs. I know you can say it represents energy, but in this context, it's the sense organs. So now we will ask, what does living involve? What does it mean to live? In this context, it needs two parts. Since the word prana is used, we have to incorporate that into the word living. So the question was, what does living involve? It involves sense organs, right? You can't live without unless you see. What is living? Seeing, experiencing through your sense organs. So therefore, living is perception. What is perception? How is perception possible? Through pranaha, through the sense organs. And the perceiver. What is the perceiver? The ahamkara. Ahamkara is the doer and the enjoyer. There has to be some I sense that is perceiving what the sense organs are picking up from the environment. I do not call ahamkara Atman, by the way. Atman is that in whose presence the ahamkara, the I sense, is validated, is illumined. So there's a big difference between I sense and the true self, the true Atman, the true I. Okay, you can say this true I is behind this false I. The false I is the ahamkara.
Can you call the false I the ego then?
We don't use the word ego in Vedanta. Yeah. Ahamkara, yeah. If you go to a Nimas class, you will not hear the word God even once. They're very strict preserving the words of Vedanta. You know, it's Ishwara or that's it. Of course, you use different words, otherwise you get really bored with the same word. That's why there's so many different words in the Upanishads, by the way. You know, that's why if you're asking, why are you constantly using new words like Parameshwara? Because to keep you interested. No, the Upanishads does this intentionally, right? That's how human beings are. What does living involve? Perception. Perception equals sense organs and perceiver. Both of them, the perception and the perceiver, have their being in Vasudeva. Remember, the point is now not to go, oh, you know, so what? There's a difference between the false self and the true self, and I need to keep a distance. You see, that's Dvaitam. Huh? The point is to understand this I who I thought I was is actually not the ahamkara. There is only consciousness alone. One more important point is because the perceiver and perception both have their being in Parameshwara, it means what? Perception of the world is not a hindrance to self-knowledge. Because there's multiplicity in this world, it hinders my ability to comprehend oneness. No. What hinders one's vision to moksha? What hinders moksha?
Distraction.
Avidya, ignorance. That's the true problem. So how do we destroy ignorance? Through Vedanta, through what we're doing right now. So this means being in this world of multiplicity, of apparent Dvaitam, does not hinder one's ability to assimilate self-knowledge and establish firmly this vision of oneness. That's an important point. This means we cannot now go, oh, I have to stay away from the world and, sort of go in my little room and not be with people. No, because we just talked about how everything is not away from nimitta and upadana karanam. And then also Shankara makes a beautiful statement. He says, a jnani, not even for 1 second, is away from this vision. Even when participating in the most demanding transactions of the world, their vision is firmly established in this. And what do we mean by this? We can use a metaphor. When you are highly stressed, are you worried about your arm? Why are you not worried about your arm? Because you know your arm is always with you. Okay? So this means that even if we're in a busy world, we don't worry about that which we know is already part of us, like my leg or my arm. What do we worry about? Those things. What do we desire? Those things which we think are apart from us. In other words, nobody desires their own arm and goes, oh, I want my arm, stay away from my arm. We only desire what? Those things which are not attached to this body. So we desire a different face, a new partner, and you experience some fame. Why? Because we think that the I is this person, therefore whatever is outside the edges of this border called body is not mine. Therefore I need to own it. Why? To establish a larger sense of I-ness, a bigger sense of me. So, going back to the question, how does a jnani live in accordance with this vision? Just like how you know that your arm is not separate from you, thus you do not desire your arm, in the same way the jnani, knowing that this world is one, does not desire anything in this world out of this simple understanding that everything is already one without a second here. So how does this translate into one's behavior? Does this now mean you're not supposed to do anything and don't have any friends? Not at all. The understanding is clear. You can still do as you want, but there's a different relationship with those things that we transact with. And Ramanti means they revel. Now, how does this jnani revel in this knowledge? Bodhayantaha parasparam. Number one, by teaching others about it. If you have kids who ask you, how does creation come about? You're very lucky because it gives you a chance to teach them or to think, how should I answer for them to assimilate this knowledge? Because it makes you see, how much have I really understood? So number one, how do they revel? By either sharing this knowledge. That means they talk about Ishwara's glories. So how do they give? By sharing to those who are qualified, and in the process of doing so, what do they discover? Tushyanti, which means internal satisfaction. That they find inner satisfaction by sharing this knowledge through different channels, through different means, whether with children, whether with their small, close friends. Now, we'll look at this word. What kind of internal satisfaction does a jnani undergo? What is their internal satisfaction like? And I think it's Shankara's example again. The jnani's satisfaction is like when two beloveds are together and they are in that perfect moment of connectedness, right? In that moment, they are totally enjoying their time together, and they would not want anyone else to be right there at that time other than themselves. So they are genuinely enjoying their moments, they're appreciating each other's presence, and they don't want any interruptions, right? It's perfect. You share, you talk with them, right? So everything flows spontaneously. So in the same way, the jnani has that kind of internal satisfaction. How often? The word nityam, what does nityam mean? Always. Whereas for a beloved, for us it comes and goes, right? Because it depends on your emotional state. And sometimes it depends on whether she or he is complying with your needs or demands. And so it's the human nature, there's nothing wrong with that. But how is a jnani's inner satisfaction? Unbroken, consistent. Why? Because they either, number one, share this knowledge, or they contemplate on this self-knowledge. Consistent, unbroken satisfaction. Now, this verse has talked about a jnani so far. Now we can bring in the word jijnatsu. So, just like a jnani shares in the same way a jijnatsu also shares. Why? Because they find inner satisfaction, and through that inner satisfaction, what happens? They develop their own clarity. Isn't that true? When you start to share, you really get to see how much you have understood. In other words, it is only when our mouths open that we realize how much have I really grasped all this. When you have two eyes looking at you, they do what? They create a check. When a person is being looked at and you're speaking, the person becomes extremely sensitive to their words. In other words, any incongruencies or vagueness, the moment you open your mouth and that incongruency comes and two eyes are looking at you, instantly you feel it. So therefore you can start making corrections on the basis of teaching, on the basis of sharing. Number one, they listen, shravanam, they reflect on what they have listened, mananam, and they share. For how long? The entire life, which is nididhyasanam. Remember, nididhyasanam is a sadhana that is not just sharing. There's many sadhanas around nididhyasanam. It's contemplating, reveling, appreciating. But one of the sadhanas for nididhyasanam is sharing. So it becomes a Vedantan's job or a Vedantan's duty, should they choose to start to sort of, get involved and preserve this tradition. Because this tradition, as complete as it is, who's going to be sharing it when all of the lovely swamis start to die one by one, We have some great swamis in the tradition, but, a new generation has to come by. So this is how the tradition gets passed on. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajantam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam ye namam upayantite.
For them who are always committed to me, seeking me with love, I give that vision whereby they reach me.
Satata Yuktanam, a devotee whose life is ever connected to me. Me is obviously Vasudeva, the one in whom all beings have their being. This means this bhakta never forgets his or her relationship with Ishwara throughout transactions of the world. So in and through all of the disputes, all of the arguments, all of the ups and downs, which will come, right? Because you got another, 50 plus years to live. Throughout all of those years, they never forget their primary relationship. For example, the wave has its being in the ocean. Okay? So this means every wave is related only to the ocean. Why is that? Comes out of the ocean, it is sustained by the ocean, and it resolves into the ocean. Now suppose one of the waves falls in love. And the wave decides, that's an attractive wave, it's got nice shape and lots of wave money. Or whatever the traits the wave likes to see, right? And then the wave falls in love, maybe the wave, buys a wave visa and goes to a different wave country. They decide to move into a wave square, which they call a house. So it's a wave that looks like a square. And they make a wave baby. And they invite wave friends. Okay? So lots of waves everywhere, right? They give each other names to identify. You can't call everyone a wave. So you call someone Martin, you call someone Adrian, you call someone, etc. Okay? So everything's names and forms to identify for the sake of working in this world. All of the transactions that the wave is undergoing are secondary. That means with even the baby is secondary. Why is that? Because they came in time, and yet they all resolve into the one same ocean. So just like in this example, despite upholding their transactions and relationships in this world with other waves, they never lose track of, they never forget the primary relationship, which is Ishvara. For this reason, this Virat Bhakta has assimilated that I am like a wave, Lord is like the ocean, which is just really all of the waves put together, and everyone else is like a wave also. So this means the Bhakta never forgets their primary relationship with the Lord. Now, how do you never forget your primary relationship with the Lord? Because I know this is easy to say, but then the moment you're on the road, you probably forgotten, or maybe not.
You see the ocean in every way.
Okay, besides understanding, there's another way called prayer. So the moment you wake up, the first prayer that you say usually will carry through the entire day. You would notice if you do a prayer in the morning. So what do you say? You say in the morning, Lord, please help me to remember you in and through all of my transactions today. Let me see you in everything that I deal with. Help me to see, open up my mind to the opportunity that I may see and contemplate upon you. Try that. Okay, it will work very well because the first thought sets up a frame for the rest of the day.
Is there a standard Vedantic prayer for the morning?
In the morning, early morning.
There's hundreds of them. It depends on your personality. You can create your own one.
It doesn't have to be a Vedantic prayer.
Yeah. Just prayers in general. Yeah. You're asking for help. Finally, why is this satata yuktaha ever connected to me? Why do they love me? Me refers to Ishvara. Do they love me, Ishvara, because they fear of not gaining moksha in this lifetime? In other words, if there's fear, then the bhakta has to reassess his or her situation. There should not be fear. I think I'm running out of time. I don't think I'm getting this. Okay? And there should be no fear because we just established that one is never away from the total. So there's nothing to worry about. Now the word love I brought up. So now we have to ask, what do you mean when we say loves Ishvara? What does the word love mean? Okay. Excellent. Okay. So to love something, appreciate something, is to deeply understand it, to deeply see into it. Now, when we say I love this in usual English, what do we really mean? I really, 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 really like this. That's what the word love refers to today. But I'm not talking about that kind of superficial. I'm talking about that deeper, I see the essence of you. Now, how does one arrive to that? How does a human mind love? It has to spend time to uncover, to discover the truth of the object of love. This means the only way one can love, how do you love more and more and more someone? By getting to know someone more and more and more. And that takes time, does it not? That's why people, when they date, they're like, let's go to another date. I thought you had one yesterday. Well, I want another date. Why? So I can love you more, so we can come together and understand each other more. So the human nature is the way we love something is by discovering what is it? What am I dealing with? How does it work? And how does that happen? Through time. So this means love is not an action. You can't say tomorrow at 5:32 p.m. I'm going to love my spouse 55% more. Okay? It's not a one-time action. It is an unfoldment through the course of time. So now let's connect the word love to loving Ishwara. Because I said the primary relationship should be with Ishwara. Now, are you going to have a primary... Why do you have a relationship with your spouse? Because you love them. If you don't love someone, you're not going to have a relationship with them. Now, what did I say? Primary relationship should be with Ishwara. How do you love? Thus, to have a primary relationship. By spending time, understanding it. Now, how are you going to understand Ishwara? Am I going to call Saraswati or Ganesha and go, hey, come let's have a date, I want to ask you some questions? No way. Where do we find details of Ishwara? In the Shastra. So we need Shastra Jnanam in order to understand and to appreciate Ishwara. Therefore, without Shastra, Bhakti is superficial. It remains partial. It is all just Bhakti in the air. Oh, let's Hare Krishna, sing people. It's all the superficial stuff. We're not talking about that. We're talking about deep connection where there is no separation. Just like with your partner, you deeply adore them. Thus, you think about it 24/7. How are we going to do that? Through the Shastra. That's why these satsangs that go on with just a person sitting in front and talking without any Shastra, it is great, but the Shastra is even better. So, therefore, we need the Shastra, because why? Shastra is the word of Bhagavan. Google. How can I love Ishwara, right? Dadami buddhi yogam tam. By loving me, now you know how to love, by understanding something through time, through the Shastra, they will progress from stage 1, Ekarupa, to stage 2, Vishwarupa / Anekarupa / Virat Bhakta, to Ishwara Jnanam or Nirguna Ishwara. Now, how do you arrive to Nirguna Ishwara? Where is that? Buddhi Yogam is yoga of Buddhi. Now, what does that sound like? Yoga of Buddhi. Jnana Yoga. Because Jnana Yoga is yoga of knowledge. Now, where does knowledge take place? In the Buddhi. Therefore, how do they arrive to the high stage 3, Nirguna Ishwara? Through yoga of the Buddhi. This means the Buddhi has to be sharp. So now we apply this to last session, those glories. We need asamohaha, we need satyam, we need kshama, we need tushti, we need contentment. Why? Because these things maintain a clear mind to understand Buddhi Yoga, thus to arrive to stage 3, which is Nirguna Ishwara. Yena mam upayanti te. Through this Buddhi Yoga / Jnana Yoga, this Jijnatsu, this aspirant, this sadhaka, will come to me. In other words, will apprehend Nirguna Ishwara, or will apprehend Atman, the self. And lastly, if the Guru and Shastra is required for this to happen, Ishwara's laws and orders are obligated through the laws of karma to provide that. So this means if someone is sincerely seeking to know Ishwara, to know him, to know the truth, then through enough punya karma, hopefully they receive the Shastra with the Acharya, because Acharya without the Shastra, usually in the spiritual marketplace, leads to spending 10 to 20 years with a person and then finally realizing, I haven't really progressed. We need the Shastra. Why? Because Shastra is the original source of this knowledge. Thus, why listen to a human being without the Shastra? They come together. There is no Guru without the Shastra. They're supposed to be together. Thus, the Shastra and the Guru arrives. Okay, now next week we will speak about verse 11, and we will see how Lord helps the Bhakta to remove beginningless ignorance, beginningless avidya.
I'm just trying to see what is the source of this information that says that thought is the cause of all these subatomic particles.
Yeah, because see, you just said subatomic particles, because you thought about subatomic particles.
Okay.
So there's no subatomic particles unless you bring the conversation up. And what is a conversation? A series of thoughts pouring out of my mouth.
But let's say if I'm so-called ignorant, I don't know any of this physics.
Yeah.
So in my life, I don't even know that, okay, a table is made out of atoms and subatomic particles.
Yeah.
So then how do those...
Well, then avidya is going to continue. That's why we come to reveal this knowledge and make it obvious. That's why avidya has sustained, and that's why the person is reborn, because they haven't had the opportunity to be shown how satya-mithya relationship operates, how everything resolves. That was just one example, but how everything resolves into consciousness.
So my other question is, with regard to all the words me, in the last few verses, the word me, because Krishna is the one saying this.
Yeah.
So when he's saying it, is the me him or is the me Ishwara? Because last week we were talking about it. It's very hard to, in my mind's eye, to visualize what is me, because in reality this me is the entire manifestation. So when we are so-called doing devotion or whatever, what should the image in our mind be focused on?
When Krishna says me, see, Ishwara needs a form to speak through. Now, he's not going to speak from the sky. He needs an instrument, he needs a mouth, he needs a person. So when Krishna says me, he's referring directly to Ishwara.
So in other words, we don't go and visualize this blue-colored person as the me when we're...
Normal person, just avatara. Avatara is the one who represents the truth, the one who represents Ishwara, who is not born of personal karma, but who is born out of a law, which is to restore dharma back on earth.
And the blue is only all pervading the sky, the universe, the ocean, everything is blue. That's why it's represented in blue.
Oh, okay. Alright.
Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.